What's up, guys? It's Combat Saturday. Today we're going to look at the Wing Chun stance and the basic footwork, okay? The fundamental footwork of Wing Chun, okay? And why we do what we do, all right? So let's start with the stance first, okay? People look at the stance and they say, no one fights like that, no one stands like that, why do you do that? All right, that's the first thing they say. Okay, let's have a look at that, all right? So here is the Wing Chun stance, okay? Here. So what you'll do is that you will put your feet together, right? And you'll open up here, and open up here. Okay. Now some people do away with the first opening, but this seems to put me into a better position. Okay. So you notice that my feet are pigeon-toed, so they're pointing towards an imaginary tip of a triangle. I'm standing at the base of a triangle, and there's a tip over there, and my feet are pointing towards it. All right. So why do we do this? All right. What's the purpose? I mean, am I going to fight this and say, come on, let's go, right? No, of course not. That's ridiculous, okay? But what this represents is that each of these legs represents a rear leg. Because, okay, look at this. Here, I'm training, a triangle is the strongest structure you can possibly have. Okay, look at the pyramids in Egypt, okay? It's strong. They're 5,000 years old. They're not going to fall down anytime soon, okay? Pyramid is very strong. Triangle is very strong, okay? So here, you're a pyramid now, okay? You're a very strong base, all right? It's also not very mobile, okay? But you're training that stability and rooting here. If I want to turn this into a fighting stance, watch this. And now, that's it. I open up my foot, and now I can move in any direction I want. I can move in any direction I want, okay? I have that mobility now, okay? But because I've done this, I had that strong rear leg. I'm accustomed to having that weight rooted, centered, and balanced. Okay? So that's really what you're training for. All right? Now, and the thing is that, when people say no one fights like that, all right, that's true. No one fights like that. But people stand like that all the time. Everyone does that. Because remember something. If you get into a fighting stance, right, that's an action. Like, this is a void. I'm standing here, there's no fight. I don't know if someone's coming from here, someone's talking to me. I don't, nothing has happened yet, so I'm in a void. If I get into a stance, well, there is an action, right? Rather than doing that, my first action is going to be a hit, right? So I will end up in the stance after I've hit. Each action has to have a purpose. Now, if you're in a competitive match, that's different. Okay, you're in a ring. Okay, I'm in this corner. He's in this corner. The bell rings. We come up fighting. Of course, we know what's going to happen. It's a fight. Obviously, the secret is out. You know there's going to be a fight, so you come out in your stance ready to go. Obviously, that makes sense. All right, because he's in his corner. I'm in my corner over there. There's no immediate danger from me standing up out of my stool and coming to fight, right? There's no danger there, okay? So you have time to do that. In a self-defense situation, all right, you don't have that luxury, okay? So, something starts, a confrontation starts, someone is right here in your face. He's right there, okay? There's no need to close the gap or anything. He's closed the gap for you, okay? It's on, okay? And you have to act, and your first act better be something good, okay? And I don't mean to push someone, because that's not going to hurt him, all right? I don't mean to get into a stance, because then that's going to make him seem like you want to go, right? Like you want to fight, right? You can stand at this, you can stand at that, but you see there, I'm in my void stance. The only difference is that in real life, in a realistic situation, I'm not going to be like this, all right? I'll just be here in the void. I might have 1 foot forward, one foot back, if I can think quickly. If I see something about to happen, I might step 1 foot back just so I can have something to push off. All right, but that's the thing, right? I'm not in a stance. So when people say who fights this way, well, everyone does, because everyone stands in a void at some point, right? There's always going to be a void, and then whatever your first action is, well, that determines what's going to happen for the rest of the situation. All right, and then we have our feet turned in like this in order to train the rear legs and rooting and things, okay? But the basic concept of standing square to someone That's it. You know, you don't walk around everywhere like this, do you? Huh? You don't walk around in a grocery store or a coffee shop or walk on the street like this everywhere you go, right? No, you walk normally, right? You're in a void, something happens, boom, right? Something here, something comes towards you, and bang, right, you know, whatever it might be. Okay, I mean, every situation is different, all right, but that first action is going to actually do something, not just get into a stance, all right? You're from here into an action, okay? So let's look at the footwork and how we train this, okay? Now, first up, we have the shifting. Shifting here is really important here. There are preferences as to what part of your foot you shift on. Now, I was taught to shift on the heel. And the idea is that you don't want to go off center, off line. You don't want to be swinging out away from your target like that, because your balance goes, you know, and you're going to lose that kind of forward energy. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, but I found it very awkward. This is just me. If you can shift in the heels, that's fine. Okay, but I found it very awkward. Instead, I shift kind of between the ball of my foot and the center of my foot, if that makes sense. Okay, and so what I end up doing is actually get a little closer here. You can see my feet there. Okay, what ended up happening is I'm just it's not quite on the ball of the foot, it's not quite on the heel, but I'm still in center. I'm not going off center. What you don't want to be doing is, like I said, swinging around, okay? So however you do it, however you can do it, as long as you're still in the game. Boom, 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 okay? Right? That's the first thing. So learning to shift like this, it actually helps to connect everything together, okay? So if I'm doing a hit here with this arm, I have my hip behind it. See? In fact, you're not really thinking about your feet at all. You're thinking with your hips driving forward. Okay? So one thing I remember, this was actually a thing I learned from Sifu Robert, Robert Mall, actually, and he taught me this, is he would actually slap my leg as I go forward. Slap, 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 just to remind me that the hips is and legs are what's driving it forward. Bah, 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 bah. See? That's what's driving me forward, okay? So that's the thing. It looks kind of funny, but it does actually work, okay? Now the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to do a little step, okay? So I'm going to shift and step, shift, step, shift, step. Now when I step, I'm not coming up, right? You want to keep that same height. Pretend you're in a room which is only this tall, with a ceiling this tall. You can't stand up, right? So that's the analogy that you want to use, okay? So I shift, step, shift, step, shift, step, shift, step, shift, step. See? Okay. Now this, we're just stepping short here, but when you do a very powerful forward step, that's called the biuma. Biuma in Cantonese. That's like piercing step, like a stabbing step. Okay. And next up, what we have is we call this the hyunma. Hyun is a circle, so we do circle with the hands, right? And we do circling horse. You know, this is your horse, like you're riding a horse, right? See, so here, what I'll do is I will shift, bring this foot towards the other one, and then step forward. Back to my stance here. Shift, bring it towards, and come forward. See? Shift, bring it towards, and forward. Shift, bring it towards, and forward. Okay. So when we do that, what we're learning is we're learning to transfer our weight and to push off our weighted leg. All right? Because this is an instinct that your ability to fight is really dependent upon that. You have to understand which of your legs is weighted and which is empty. Okay. Now you're never going to have 100% on one leg and 0 on the other. Okay, you might have 100% of your weight on one leg, but not 100% of your balance. Okay, if that makes sense. I mean, when you kick, obviously one foot is off the ground, but you're still centered. Okay, so when I do this here, bring it towards, now weight on this leg, and I step forward. Now, if I want to step through the other way, I will put the weight onto this leg and step forward there. See, so you're always learning. When we bring it together, you're learning what it feels like in order to have that weighted leg and to push off it. All right. Now, in a real situation, you most likely would not actually bring your foot all the way over like that. You just step from where you are, but you make that little adjustment, that little micro adjustment to kind of just step in. Okay, you'll know to have that weight there. Okay, and you know this, you see the exact same thing in boxing. Okay, now let's say I just did like a 1, 2, 3, and then I did a slip over here, right? Or let's just say, hold on, I didn't explain that fully. Let's just say that 1, 2, 3, and I want to step over there. All right. Well, I could do like a hop step, or I could do a little slip and then push off. Okay. And after I've pushed off, my weight is on this leg. Now I'm set up for the rear hand because I know I'm weighted here. I'm loaded for that. If I want to do a lead hook, for example, I would need to somehow get my weight on this leg and then throw the hook. See? So you always have to be aware. These little micro decisions of understanding where your weight is placed and which punch to throw, that takes time to develop that, okay? But this drill really helps with that because you understand that. You go, it's here. I gotta step off there, right? It's here. I gotta step off there, all right? And there's a similar drill from boxing. I've done it before too, where I might just use my shoulder. I go 1, 2, 3. Now I know here. I know I'm weighted here, so I go that one. Go 1, 2. Now I know I'm weighted here. Right there. I go 1, 2, 3. Right? See, so you always have to be aware of how your body's weighted. Okay. So, anyways, that's your explanation for why we stand this way in Wing Chun, the purpose of it, the shifting, and the basic stepping. Okay, remember we have the shift, step, and we have a shift, chunma, shift, chunma. Okay, and there you go. Any questions? Let me know, and talk to you guys soon.